Our topic for today is about balancing chemical equations. At the end of this video, you will be able to balance chemical equations by adding the proper coefficients. An equation is balanced when the same number of each element is represented on the reactant and the product sides. Equations must be balanced to accurately reflect the law of conservation of matter. So let's start balancing the following equations. We will start with number 1. C2H6O plus O2 gives CO2 plus H2O. We will start counting the number of each element in the reactant side and in the product side. Let's start with the carbon atoms. In the reactant side, here we have just 2 carbon atoms. Here we have C2. While in the product side we have only 1 carbon, so we can say that with respect to the number of carbon atoms, they are not balanced. Now for hydrogen, in the reactant side here we have 6 hydrogen atoms, so we write 6H. While in the product side we have H2O, so we have only 2 hydrogen. So we can say also with respect to hydrogen atoms, they are not balanced. Now we have oxygen here. We have only 1 oxygen coming from C2H6O, and we have the O2 oxygen gas. So we have 1 plus 2. So we can say we have 3 oxygen atoms in the reactant side. Now for the product side also we have 3 oxygen atoms here. We have 2 plus 1. So we can say that they are balanced. Now we will try to balance the number of carbon atoms in both sides, before and after the arrow. Here we have 2 carbon, here we have only 1 carbon. So we can multiply here by 2. So we have 2 CO2. So the number of carbon atoms becomes here 2 in the product side and in the reactant side, so they are balanced. Now this added coefficient is for carbon and is for oxygen, so we have to look again for the number of oxygen atoms here. We have 2 times 2, 4, plus 1. In the product side we have 5 oxygen, so they are not balanced. You have to balance them. Now we can add here 3 in front of H2O in order to balance the number of hydrogen. So we have 3 times 2, we have 6 hydrogen atoms in the product side and 6 hydrogen atoms in the reactant side. So now we can say that with respect to hydrogen atoms, they are balanced both sides, before and after the arrow, in the reactant side and in the product side. Now after adding this 3, we have 3 times 2, okay, 6 hydrogen, but this number is for oxygen also. So let's check the number of oxygen here. We have 2 times 2, we have now 4 plus 3, so we have now 7 oxygen in the product side. So now we have 3 oxygen here in the reactant side. We have to balance the number of oxygen before and after the arrow. So you have just add 3 here in front of O2. So we have 3 times 2, 6 oxygen atoms plus 1 coming from C2H6O. So we will have 7 oxygen atoms in the reactant side. So we can say now that they are balanced. Now let's try to balance the second equation. Here we have P4O10 plus H2O gives H3PO4. We will start counting the number of atoms in both sides before and after the arrow. For phosphorus, capital letter P, we have here 4 phosphorus atoms in the reactant side, while we have only 1 phosphorus atom in the product side, so they are not balanced. For oxygen, we have 11 oxygen atoms here, 10 plus 1 in the reactant side, and we have only 4 oxygen atoms in the product side, so they are not balanced. For the number of hydrogen, we have 2 hydrogen in the reactant side, and we have 3 hydrogen atoms in the product side, so also they are not balanced. Now let's try first to balance the number of phosphorus atoms. Here we have 4, here we have 1, so it's so easy. You have just to multiply here by 4, so we have 4 times 1, we have 4 phosphorus atoms here in the product side, so now we can say that with respect to the number of phosphorus atoms, now they are balanced. Now don't forget that this added number is for the whole formula, so now you have to change the number of hydrogen and the number of oxygen atoms here in the product side. So we have 4 times 3, now we have 12 hydrogen atoms in the product side, and we have 4 times 4, we have 16 oxygen atoms now in the product side. Now try to look here at the number of hydrogen. We have 2 here, 2 hydrogen, we have 12 hydrogen, so it's also so easy. You have to multiply here by 6, we have 6 times 2, so now we have 12 hydrogen atoms in the reactant side, also in the product side, so they are balanced now. Now for the number of oxygen atoms, we have 6 times 1, we have 6 plus 10 coming from P4O10, so we have 16 oxygen atoms in the reactant side and also in the product side, so they are balanced now. Now let's move for the last equation. Here we have B2O3 plus H2O gives H3BO3. Now let's start counting the number of the elements, both sides. For boron, we have just 2 boron atoms in the reactant side. We have B2 here, so we write 2B. In the product side, we have only 1 boron atom, so with respect to the number of boron atoms, they are not balanced. For oxygen, here we have 3 plus 1, we have 4 oxygen atoms in the reactant side. We have 3 oxygen atoms in the product side, so they are not balanced. Now for the number of hydrogen, we have only 2 hydrogen in the reactant side coming from H2O, and we have 3 hydrogen here in the product side, so also with respect to hydrogen, they are not balanced. Let's try first balance the number of boron atom. Here we have 2B, here we have 1B, so you just have to add here 2. You have to multiply here by 2, so we have 2 boron atoms in the product side, so they are balanced now. Now we have 2 times 3, we have 6 hydrogen, and we have also 2 times 3, we have 6 oxygen atoms in the product side after adding this coefficient. Now look at the number of hydrogen atoms here in the reactant side. We have 2 hydrogen while we have 6 hydrogen in the product side, so we have just to multiply by 3. We have 3 times 2, we have now 6 hydrogen in the reactant side, so they are balanced now. Now for the number of oxygen atoms, now we have 3 times 1, we have 3 here coming from H2O, 3 plus 3, we have now 6 oxygen atoms in the reactant side and also in the product side, so we can say that with respect to the oxygen atoms, they are balanced now. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. See you next time.